Hey, hello and welcome. My name is Paul Ryder, and in this video I wanted to share the difference between anxiety and stress. Now, the reason that I want to share this is because I do a lot of research on all different areas of social media, and obviously I've spoken to many people in real life as well. And what I find is that there are so many different thoughts and opinions, and this is what anxiety is, and this is what stress is, and it's almost like too many cooks spoil the broth. Now, when dealing with mental health, we have so many moving parts to deal with anyway. We've got anxiety projections at work, in our home life. We've got self-doubt when we're waking up in the morning. Do we have addictions? Do we feel that we're going to get rejected in some way? Have we got shame? Have we got guilt? And then on top of that, we've got all these different opinions being thrown at us on social media, and not only on social media, but in general life as well. And it gets really, really confusing. So what I like to do as a coach, trainer, and therapist myself is to make things very straightforward. So there is definitive structure between each of these areas. And one of the areas that I seem to notice confusion in, and I'm not saying my opinion's right or wrong, I'm not saying anybody else's is, really it's what works for you. But for me, I like to again keep things very straightforward. So let's look at the difference between anxiety and stress. Now, here is a clip, a screenshot from one of my videos that I'll put a link in the description below, and it shows about how the mind is putting the world together. Now, there's a full video on that on YouTube. Again, it's about an hour long, and it explains a full construct of how we have maybe trauma projections from the past. We get a feedback loop, it causes a distortion of reality, and then we're kind of in the past and in the future. But I'll let you watch that video in your own time. So anxiety is what's known as a negative pre-projection of a future event. So we have something within ourselves. It could be hypervigilance, it could be trauma responses, it could be a low self-worth, it could be a low self-esteem, lack of confidence. And all of these things that we see ourselves as, especially shame, which is the more destructive one of them all. And then what we do is we look at the world around us and we assess, what does this mean to me? So if we're in work one day and we see somebody who may be particularly challenging, could be using an emotionally manipulative behavior on us in some way, and we get a feedback loop, and then we run that through what we believe about the situation. And if we feel that we are incapable of dealing with that situation, irrespective of whether we are or not, because we can have lots of skills today, but if our inherent self-belief says you're not good enough, or you're going to get rejected because your skills aren't capable to deal with this situation, it doesn't matter how many skills you actually have. Your protector self might actually shut you down. And if you've ever experienced that, where you know that you could come back with a very eloquent, articulate answer, but it seems that all your words just disappear, well, that's known as a hijack. Again, I'll make another video around that because that's a big area. So anxiety is a painful or a negative pre-projection of a future event. So in essence, in my own training, what I describe anxiety as is we think anxiety. We don't feel anxiety, we think anxiety. So that is in our mind. And then stress. Stress is a physiological reaction of a hormonal release inside our body. So we have an anxiety thought, and then if we get a feedback loop and something within our mind says, this situation is too much for you, this situation is too overbearing for you, you are going to lose, and this means danger. What happens then? That feedback loop goes into the physical body and says, you're in danger. That's the protector self, or in the physical brain, the amygdala. And then from there, what happens is your protector self presses an alarm, and then that releases hormonal response into your physical body. Now, you will have obviously felt that jolt, that shakiness, that feeling sick, Feels like the world's really small or really big. You feel confused. It feels like all of your thoughts just disappear, or you're flooded with thoughts all at once. That is a physiological stress response. And that, again, for me, is how I want to keep things really sectioned and straightforward for people to understand. You see, because if you say, well, I think anxiety and I feel anxiety, then what's stress? It gets confusing. So again, I'm not saying my way is right or wrong. It's run it through your own filter. See the words that you want to use. Okay, so just go over this process again, step by step. So number one, we walk into an environment. We look at the situation as it is. We won't have had any reaction. We see a stimulus. It could be a person at work, for example, or somebody at the gym, whatever it is. And then we see that person, and then we internalize what that means for us. Then we ask ourselves, am I in danger, yes or no? Now that won't look at just what your skills are today. It will review itself through what's known as your internal residual self-image. So if your internal residual self-image says, you're not capable, even though you might be today, but you're not capable, therefore, you're going to lose this encounter. That other person's more powerful than you in some way. All of that is a thought process, not a feeling. Then, when that internal image comes through of you're going to lose, you're in danger, this other person's more powerful than you, again, irrespective of whether you are or not, it's how you believe the situation to be based on your past responses and reactions. Then it goes into either or. So it's either danger or it's not. And then if the reaction for your protector self is you are in danger, the protector self, or the amygdala in the brain, hits the alarm and releases stress hormones into the body to give you that jolt. And that is stress. So you feel stress. Now, there's obviously a lot more to this concept than just what I'm talking about here. But again, to make things easier for your journey while you're studying mental health, do your very best to keep things separate and structured. Because if you've got one word meaning many, many different things, what'll happen is it takes more cognitive ability to understand the same construct. If you have everything in a nice, orderly fashion, then you can work it through step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Whereas if you kind of go in step 1, step 3, step 5, step 2, all over the place, it's just going to use up your mental capacity and make the whole process harder. So I hope that sheds some light on the difference between anxiety and physical stress. Maybe write these down in your journal of experiences that you've had of when you've noticed anxiety, when you've noticed physical stress. Because the one thing is that if you get anxiety, is more than likely you're going to get a stress reaction straight after. So keep in mind all the time, anxiety leads to stress. Anxiety leads to stress. There is a process. But again, for a full explanation of how the mind puts the world together, including the 3 areas of the conscious, subconscious, and Pandora's box, I'll put a link in the description below so you can watch the full explanation. It is an hour long. It's not a short video, but it does give you a full comprehensive understanding of how all of this works. Once again, as I always say in every video, if you've got any thoughts or reflections, feel free to put them in the comments below, because if you put a comment that's something you've realized about life that can help other people move forward, that comment that you put down could change somebody's life forever.